Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to be doing a gluten-free Valentine's Day themed lava cake for two. So we sell meal kits that can incorporate cannabis as an optional gift. This particular chocolate cake is an add-on for Valentine's Day. So we have a specific Valentine's Day themed kit, and we have this particular dessert for Valentine's Day, and I'm going to make the dessert for you today. So we have few different options that you need. This is a really, really simple cake. So only need a few ingredients. 4 eggs, half a teaspoon of salt. We have 1/8 of a cup of sugar, powdered sugar for garnish, stick of butter, and 8 ounces of chocolate chips. So this is going to be really simple. I'm going to start. I just preheated my oven. It's 375 degrees. I have a setup here. Hopefully you can see it. Essentially a double broiler. So we have you can use any kind of heat safe bowl on the top and a pan on the bottom. I have a couple inches of water in there. So I'm going to turn that on. So we're going to want that to simmer for our next step. So now that we're preheated, we're going to butter our tin. So this is the size that we're using. Now this recipe is actually going to make a couple of these cakes. You could certainly do it in a larger pan. I'm doing this specifically as like kind of a large dessert for two, but you can certainly do it a different way and make a larger amount. I'm going to start by buttering the pan just with the stick of butter I'm going to use in the recipe, so it's not going to stick. Okay. Gently coating the inside of the pan. We're not dieting today. And then we're going to crack our eggs directly into this bowl. Oh, correct. So we have our 4 eggs. We're also adding our sugar and salt to this mixture. So again, half teaspoon of salt, 1/8 cup of sugar. Now, with this, you are going to want to hand mix this. So I have a handheld mixer. If you have a tabletop mixer, it works even better. I'm going to do as quickly as possible. I know it's going to be loud, so let's see how much I can get done quickly. So I am going to want to continue this if I was doing it in real time, but it's going to start to get lighter in color and really frothy. So you can see it's starting to get really frothy now, and it's going to get about double in volume. Once that happens, we're going to start melting our chocolate and our butter together. So the reason that you want this bowl on top is you're going to burn the chocolate if it's too warm. So you really want simmering water, kind of a slow melt. Start with that. So that's our butter and our chocolate. Give that a second, a little bit of a. While that's melting, I'm going to heat this a little bit more. See how our chocolate and butter are melting together. So this is starting to get hot. While we're waiting for that butter to melt, butter and chocolate to melt, I'll give you a little more information about what we're going to be doing as far as the infusion today. So a couple different options. We typically, with Dinner at Mary's, use a THC infused olive oil, which I do have today. We also do CBD sometimes. So I have a CBD sample. I'll show you. For this particular kit, we did include a CBD option. So this is actually 50 milligrams of CBD that we can recommend. I'm actually going to put, actually we'll do the CBD in this today, but you can also use your THC oil. So this is the optional gift that comes if you decide to include it with your Dinner Mary's meal kit. So they look like this. So you can use either one. You can put it right into your recipe, especially since it's such a small amount. If you were using this oil, I would take a little bit of butter out. So about a tablespoon of oil, I would take, a tablespoon of butter I would take out of the recipe, and I would add oil instead. It's not going to make a huge difference with your recipe. Let's start this. Not as gently melting for us, which is great. So for olive oil and for infusion in general, an olive oil is an easy way to do it, and this is a CBD tincture you can put right in. There's also ways to do infusion on your own to make your own olive oil, which is something that we do every week. There's a lot of different ways to infuse. We typically use a sous vide, which means it's at a low temperature for a longer period of time. We find that gives us a more well-rounded infusion. You want to remember with cannabis in general that it's going to take a while when you're consuming it. From smoking, you're going to feel it right away. And when you are ingesting, it's going to take a little bit. So you're usually looking at about an hour for onset. You want to wait for up to 2 hours, at least 2 hours before you're going to take more. So if you feel that you took a smaller dose and you're looking for a larger dose, you want to wait 2 hours before you make that decision, because it can take up to that amount of time in order to actually reach you and for you to feel the effects. So you'll hear that story a lot, where people in college had a lovely experience with a brownie, where they ate a brownie, had no idea how many milligrams were in it, had way too much, and felt really uncomfortable. Never came back to edibles again. You don't like that story. So it's all about figuring out your dosage. It's going to make it a lot easier to enjoy edibles and to get the type of response that you're looking for. All right, so I'm going to bring this over where you can see it right now. The chocolate has mostly melted. Tip this down. Chocolate is mostly melted. The butter is slowly melting on the top, so we want to stir that around a little bit and put it back over the heat. Now, again, we are using a full stick of butter. However, this is going to be a larger quantity than you need for just this one cake. As far as dosage goes, this is the 50 milligrams of CBD that I will be putting into this cake, which I think is a good option if you're splitting it with somebody. If you were using THC infusion, I recommend about 10 milligrams per person, but starting with 5 is a great way to go. So if you're not an experienced user, if you haven't done it in a while, if you're not exactly sure what you're up against, 5 milligrams is a great option. So out of this amount of oil, and granted different oils have different potencies, but this is about a half an ounce. So you'd want to be using half of that, or a quarter ounce in the actual recipe. So it's really not a ton of oil. When we do our catering dinners, I give everybody options for dosage control. So if you want to go anywhere from 5 milligrams to 20 plus, there's certainly some heavy hitters that come to our events and do a little bit higher. But anybody that is kind of in that category of not super experienced, a little bit nervous, not sure where to start, I think 5 milligrams is the absolute perfect place to start. And as a consistent cannabis user and edible consumer, I tend to use 5 milligrams most of the time anyway. Really depends on what your goal is. But okay, so I'm gonna bring this over. So now we incorporated the chocolate and butter together. Show you what that looks like. So we've got a really great mixture. Just a bit. I'm going to add my CBD to this mixture. Again, really small amount. Incorporate that. And now I'm going to beat these eggs a little bit more just to get a little bit frothier, and then we're going to add them to here, but we're going to add a third at a time. So you want to like fully incorporate and not overwork it. Okay, so you can see we've got froth, we've got a lot more volume than we had originally. We're in about a third. We're going to incorporate that. And also remember that if your chocolate is too hot, you're going to scramble those eggs, so that adding by a third at a time is going to help prevent that from happening. And our second third. Okay. And the rest of our frothy eggs. So this is what this looks like right now. We've got a frothy chocolatey mixture. Now, any container that you use, you're going to want to fill about 2/3 of the way, because there is a decent amount of rising that happens. You don't want it to overflow. Okay, so we're almost fully incorporated. Again, this particular one has CBD in it. So CBD has no psychoactive effects. This is going to have more of a body relaxing, anti-inflammatory, and anti-anxiety effect versus THC, which is going to have a psychoactive effect. So it's definitely different. We're also kind of legal across the board on the CBD front. So that certainly helps with anybody that is concerned about legality in states that it's not legal yet. CBD is. Okay, so we have fully incorporated. Let me show you what this looks like. Full chocolatey goodness. We have our buttered pan right here. I'm going to fill this 2/3 of the way. We'll have enough for another cake if you'd like. So we're about this full, still have some space. We put this in our oven. It's going to take about 15 minutes for that to cook. Not going to make you wait 15 minutes. Made one earlier. So this one, it did drop a little bit, but what you're going to see is that the center stays gooey, which is exactly what we're looking for from a lava cake. The best case scenario is you want to consume this right after you make it. That's where you're going to get the gooiness you like. Last step is sprinkle a tiny bit, just a little powdered sugar. For garnish, you can certainly sift this as well. And you have a Valentine's Day dessert. So this is perfect size for 2 people. Super easy, gluten-free. It's going to be a little bit healthier. We're not exactly on a diet with the amount of butter that we put in there, but it's a great option, and Valentine's Day is not about dieting. We have about half left. So this is going to make 2 of these, if not 3. So you can make a regular size cake pan with this particular recipe. You don't need to do the small version, but today it seems like it makes sense. Really appreciate everybody who came and to see our demo. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I hope you guys can visit us at dinner@marys.com. That's dinner-at-marys.com. We're doing meal kits every week, and we have a lot of recipes and a lot of fun things coming up. Thanks so much, guys. I'm Sam with Dinner at Mary's. Any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much.